Hello, this program is called the One Glove, One Purpose, and it has two parts. One is infection prevention and control, and the second is antibiotic-resistant infectious diseases. If you are reviewing this video, please check the video on antibiotic-resistant infectious diseases as well, because both will help you to understand the diseases as well as how to prevent them. This part of the program will focus on infection prevention and control. Before we start, let me present myself. My name is Martin Mengbeto, and I am Service Coordinator for the Department of Developmental Services. I'm also an intern in the Department for Training and Development and Staff Development at Hogan Center in collaboration with the Northeastern Residential Services. We are working to develop a training program that will help prevent antibiotic-resistant diseases in our community. But before that, I used to be a direct care staff. Then I became a house manager and program coordinator. I have a bachelor degree in community health, and I'm preparing my master degree in public health, specializing in healthcare management. I also have a certification, so I'm certified health education specialist as well. As a part of my practicum, we are working on this program, and I was able to research some of the antibiotic-resistant diseases, and I hope to share this information with you about how to prevent it, and I hope you learn something from this video presentation. Thank you very, very much, and let's start. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to verbalize the main components of infection prevention and control, define universal precaution and list some of its components, define terms related to infection control, list proper hand washing and hand hygiene techniques, demonstrate proper steps for hand washing and in use of hand sanitizer, demonstrate proper application and removal of and use of gloves. You will also be able to describe environmental cleaning step, describe proper and safe house cleaning and linen care, demonstrate how to handle waste and body fluid, list mode of transmission of infection and portable entering of bacteria, list some hard surfaces, pledge to promote healthier home and environmental free from multiple drug-resistant organisms, set up at least one infection prevention and control goals at your workplace, and develop a strategy to achieve these goals. Before we begin, I would like to define some key terms that I intended to use throughout this presentation. The first term is infection prevention and control. It is a set of measures in place to make sure that people in need of special care, protection, and support are better protected from infection while receiving care in a range of settings. Hygiene is defined as things that we do to keep ourselves and our surroundings clean and free from germs to maintain good health. In fact, the basic principle of infection prevention and control is hygiene. So if you maintain hygiene, good hygiene, you will stay healthy. Mode of transmission is the way germs pass from one person to another. We talk a lot about this, but what is really universal precaution? It is a set of rules for any caregiver to assume that all blood and body fluid are potential sources of infections, regardless of the diagnosis or presumed infection status. That additional precautions are needed for disease transmitted by air, droplet, or contact, and that high level of protection should be maintained around the individual we support, yourself, and the visitor should also maintain high universal precautions. Infection is contaminated. When somebody is contaminated with harmful germs, that's when we talk about infection. And disinfection is when we do everything in our power to destroy those germs so that they don't become harmful to us. So who can be infected? Who is at risk of infection? Anyone, you and I, anybody in the community, the individual we support, anyone can be infected. But more importantly, people who are already sick or tired or have stress, older people, or people with weakened immune system, as well as people who are often exposed to hospital or other healthcare facilities. When we go to appointments over and over and over, it's possible that people can get infected through that route as well. Now let us talk a little bit about the mode of transmission. There are different ways disease can get from one person to another. It could be directly or indirectly. Body fluid is a great way people can share germs. Tears, saliva, mucus, cough, urine, feces, semen, all this can cause infection to other people. Someone can become contaminated by touching hard touch surfaces, or something that is already contaminated, or a person who is already contaminated. Just by standing up and talking to somebody who's coughing or sneezing or laughing and spitting, we can get infected as well. How do germs enter our body? Through any opening they can find: nose, mouth, eyes, rectum, genital, and other mucous membrane. If you have cuts or bruises or skin break, you want to protect it, otherwise you can be infected as well that way. Let us talk about how to prevent infection. First, universal precaution. Hand hygiene is part of universal precaution, and it includes hand washing, use of hand sanitizer, and use of glove. Contact precaution is another one. We must use personal protection when handling body fluids, secretion, or needle and other sharps. Environmental hygiene is another part of universal precaution, which include cleaning and proper handling of waste. Lining care is another part of universal precaution, and it requires that we handle the individual care equipment and soil linen properly. I will went through detail as we go on. Peel management is another way of maintaining infection prevention, and that requires that we respect dosage and all of the 5 rights when we administer medication, especially antibiotic, because not all of the diseases require antibiotic. So misuse of antibiotic can also lead to serious problem. Get your flu shot. We all know that vaccination is the best way that many of us protect ourselves from diseases. Unfortunately, vaccine is not available for MRSA, C. diff, or VRE at this point. So infection prevention is our best bet. We must maintain infection prevention and control to stay safe and free from these germs. coordinated care, comprehensive residential-based infection prevention and control strategy will also help all of you to maintain good infection prevention system and stay free from germs. So in a quick summary, this is it. Universal precaution include contact precautions, washing hand, use of hand sanitizer, environmental cleaning, kneeling care. All that has to be planned and put in one good strategy to maintain good universal precaution and infection prevention at your workplace. So I hope you can work on this with your colleagues. Okay, let us talk about how to wash our hand properly. I do have a video demonstration that I would like you to take the time and watch. And when you do, pay attention to each step. And after that, take the poster of hand washing. And when you get back to your workplace, make sure you practice and practice and practice. Practice will make it better for you. If you do have jewelry, I will suggest that you don't keep them on, just to avoid carrying germs around. I also want to point it out that it's important for you to use disposable towels instead of a reusable towel that other people will share. So again, I'm gonna play the video, and please pay attention to every detail and do not forget when you're leaving to pick up the posters.
Hi, so we're here today to do some hand washing to avoid infection. The most important thing is to avoid touching contaminated areas of the sink. So you turn the water on, you get your hands wet, you use a little paper towel to get some soap, and then you wash your hands really, really good. You scrub between the fingers. You can sing happy birthday to yourself twice to get a good amount of time. You make sure that you rinse your hands off really, really well. You dry off really well, and then you shut the tap off. So to exit the bathroom, you use a clean paper towel to touch the door handle, and then you throw it away. That's it.
Now that you watched the video, I would like us to talk a little bit about when should the hand be washed. Before and after you touch anybody or you care for the individual, you should wash your hand. Before and after you use gloves, please wash your hand. Before any personal care like ADL, even if you plan to wear gloves, wash your hand first. Immediately after you touch any contaminated surface or any high-touch surfaces. After a contact with body fluid or secretion like a wound, please wash your hand. Prior to performing ADL like shower or toileting or helping anybody with mercy, please wash your hand. Very important. Who should wash their hand? I know you have that answer. Everybody. You as a staff, visitors, the individual. Some people, like our individual, they might not be able to wash their hand promptly. It's good that you assist them. Make sure that they wash their hand as well as you do, as much as you do. How do we maintain clean hand? By using soap and water. That's the best way to maintain good hand hygiene. Use this technique all the time, and especially when your hands are soiled with body fluid or blood, or when you're caring for somebody, wash your hand with soap and water, especially when the person has diarrhea, because you won't know if they have C. diff or norovirus. So please wash your hand and avoid washing your hand in the kitchen or other places after you use the bathroom because that is not hygienic. Now let us talk about how to use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. It's pretty easy. You just need to make sure that your hands aren't visibly dirty or soiled. Then you put a little bit of the hand sanitizer and you rub it through your fingers, through your nails, and then you go through the back of your hand. You keep rubbing until your hands are dry. You do not need to wipe, and you do not need to wipe it. I do have video demonstration that I would like you to watch, and when you do, pay attention to every step. Look at it and practice and practice. Also take a poster that I have and use the poster. That will help you to maintain good hand hygiene when using hand sanitizer. When do we really need to use hand sanitizer? Me, I call it emergency kits. When I don't have a soap and water, I use hand sanitizer. But if I do have soap and water, I never have to go around using hand sanitizer because I don't need it. Washing hand is the best solution anyway. So if you do have to use hand sanitizer because you need it, make sure that your hands are not visibly dirty.
So if you weren't able to wash your hands with soap and water and your hands aren't visibly dirty, it's okay to use a personal hand sanitizer, or if you were sharing, you would use a paper towel on the top. So you put a little bit of alcohol in your hands and you rub it really well between the fingers, on the tops. You do not need to rinse, you do not need to dry, you just need to keep rubbing your hands until they're dry.
When you choose to use hand sanitizer, please check the label to make sure that the alcohol content is at least 60 to 95%. Do not use any hand sanitizer that doesn't have alcohol content because it won't help you. Also, make sure that your hands aren't visibly dirty because the hand sanitizer will not work on dirty hand, and it doesn't kill all of the germs either. Germs like C. diff won't die just because you use hand sanitizer. You got to go to the to use soap and water and wash your hand properly. That's the best way to maintain infection prevention. So these are steps that you follow when you're using hand sanitizer, and I hope that you can have a copy of this and follow through step by step and practice. So like I already explained this to you before, it's just a matter of rubbing, and do not wipe it after you rub. This is it. Wash your hand with soap and water and rub it for the good amount of time. It's the best way to maintain hand hygiene. You can also use hand sanitizer as an emergency kit. Just make sure that you don't wash it off or wipe it after you use it. And make sure that your hands are not visibly dirty. I will also suggest that you avoid artificial nails and that you keep your own nails short. That's the best way to maintain infection prevention. Now that we talk about how to wash our hands and how to use hand sanitizer, let us talk about how to wear and remove gloves. I do have video presentation to show you how to put gloves on and how to remove gloves. Please take a time and review that video and pay attention to each step because it's important. That's the way you can avoid cross-contamination, and you can avoid contaminating your hand and other people around you. Thank you.
So we're going to put some gloves on. You want to make sure you have the right size. You want to make sure that you don't have any sharp objects on your hands, sharp jewelry, and you want to just thread them in your fingers into the gloves and avoid touching anything until you're ready to help the person you're working with. And when you're done with the gloves, you want to make sure you properly dispose of them. So I'm going to show you how to take your gloves off properly to avoid contaminating yourself and other surfaces. You take your thumb and your forefinger and you pinch at the base of your wrist. You pull it off, gather it in a ball, take your 2 fingers and pull off your gloves, throw it in the trash, and wash your hands.
Now that you take time and review the video about how to put on and remove gloves, this poster can also help you to master the skills about how to remove gloves, because that part is pretty important in order for you to avoid contaminating surfaces or other people or your own hand or clothes. It's good to remove gloves properly. So take this poster with you and practice. The size of gloves matters. So try to look and make sure that you find your perfect size. You don't want to have gloves on and it will rip off on you, or something will leak in between and get onto your skin. So make sure you have the proper size of gloves all the time. When should you use gloves? Anytime that you're caring for someone. When you're helping with shaving, brushing teeth, when you are assisting with toileting and menses, before you touch body fluid, when you have a sore and cut on your hand, you have to put a bandage and gloves. When dealing with soiled linen and clothes, when you have to touch a high-touch surfaces or contaminated surface, it's very important. And remember the rule of the universal precautions. You must wear gloves regardless of the diagnosis of the person you care for. So if you care for an individual, you really don't know what they have, you just have to have your gloves on to create a barrier between you and that individual, because that person doesn't know what you have either, and you don't want to share and they don't want to share. So just make sure to keep gloves on when you're caring for somebody, especially in our residential homes. While it's important to wear gloves when you're caring for somebody, it is also important to remove gloves immediately after you use and before attending another person. Always wash your hand before and after you use gloves. Change gloves between tasks. If you use gloves on a soiled spot for an individual, you don't want to use the same gloves and touch a clean spot on the same body. You're going to have to change that gloves. That's why some people, they put a bag or something or trash can to help them remove gloves quickly and put another on so that they don't contaminate themselves or somebody else. If you are allergic to latex gloves, you might want to use vinyl, and I think that's what most of the group homes use, so you shouldn't have any problem. And avoid walking around with gloves on your hand or cooking with gloves on your hand. And always, always wear one pair of gloves for one purpose only. Great, we're moving on. Now that we talk about hand hygiene in general, let us talk about linen hygiene, how to keep our individuals' clothes and bedding clean. First, hamper is good. Each individual should have a hamper with a lid on it to cover it, as well as laundry basket. Bag any soiled linen and never leave any of them on the floor. Change clothes for the individual as soon as they return from day program or any other crowded environment like a hospital or sport event. Please remember to change their clothes to avoid infection. Follow the instruction on laundry detergents and laundry machine when completing laundry, and remove bedding and wash them routinely, maybe every week, or at least when they're soiled with body fluid. When handling soil linen, hold them away from your body to avoid contaminating your clothes. If linen or clothing are contaminated with body fluids, please wash them separate. Wash sheet towels and clothes with warm water and laundry detergent. Drying clothes in a hot, dry air rather than air drying may help kill some of the bacteria as well. It is not necessary to use bleach on every single load of laundry, and you know it. Laundry clean with detergent alone will be safe for people to wear and use. Hot water washing is not always necessary either. That is why it's important to follow the instruction of the laundry detergent as well as the wash machine. When using shared equipment, it's important to disinfect it before you use it for somebody. Equipment like a stethoscope and blood pressure cuff should be disinfected before you use it on somebody else. Wipe the personal care items and disinfect them properly. All surfaces that may be soiled need to be cleaned thoroughly and regularly and appropriately with good disinfectant. Individuals' wheelchair need to be disinfected frequently as well as other equipment like iPad or anything like that they might have on them. This is just some pictures of things that we touch every day not knowing, and we go back and put our hand in our mouth, or a pen that we took for somebody to just sign a paper, we put it back in our mouth. So it's important to pay attention to this thing that will contribute to better infection prevention. Environmental care is another part of universal precaution, and it requires that we maintain a very clean environment to have a good health. When using cleaning product that you purchase on the market, please check the label. The label will tell you how long the product needs to be left on the surface, how long you need it for wet time, whether you need to use gloves or gun, or if you need to wipe or clean up the surface before you use it. All that will tell you whether you need to rinse out the product, or even some product like a bleach will require that you mix it with water. So unless you check the product label, you're not gonna know. And there's no need for you to buy a product and go ahead and use it if you don't follow these instructions, because you know what? It is not going to work. It's not going to kill the germ that you intended to kill. So please pay attention to each product's labels. These are some steps to maintain clean environment. Please put your gloves on when you're cleaning. Wipe the surface from cleanest spot toward the dirtiest spot. Make sure that you use the appropriate cleaning product and spray. That's why I talked to you before about checking the label to know what the product is intended to do. Never ever pick up a broken glass even if you have gloves on, and the reason is simple. If you have gloves on and you pick up broken glass, you could cut your skin and bleed and be infected at the same time. The best way to do it is to take a dustpan and a broom and sweep the glass right on top of the dustpan and dispose of them in a tight trash bag. Dispose of your gloves as soon as you finish cleaning the environment or the surface that you intended to clean, and dispose of every equipment like mask if you have to wear mask, and any product that you use. Other good practices of hygiene include washing hand with soap and water and or alcohol-based hand sanitizer. If you wash your hand, make sure your individual wash their hand. You use a hand sanitizer, make sure the individual use it as well. Use a clean, dry bandage to cover any cut, scratch, and bruises that you may have on your skin. The bandage should be changed at least daily. Don't let the individual share towels, washcloths, or other personal items with anyone else. And frequently clean all of the surface, especially the high-touch surfaces like doorknobs and toilets and so on. Please contact your organization for other precaution if you think that you have a serious infection at your workplace. Other precaution that is important to notice is how to dispose of contaminated items. Please put them in a tight plastic bag and tie them up before you put in the garbage. Whether it's a bandage or gloves that you just use, it's good to tie them up before you put them in the garbage. Use personal commode for somebody who's having diarrhea until you know exactly what's going on with them. For some surfaces like keyboards, mouse, it might be hard for you to clean, but there's some solution out there. Please talk to your organization and see what the option you have. Some keyboard now are good to be put in the wash machine and wash them. You might already have them, but if you don't know, you can check with the manufacturer or check with the organization that you work for to make sure that you are able to clean these things up frequently, because those are common contaminated common surface that other people share with you. Is it clean? I don't think so. In most situations, you will not know whether a surface is clean or not, and that is tricky. And most surfaces might not pose a risk to spread disease. But you remember, universal precaution rule requires that you consider everything that you come across as a contaminated stuff. So you got to make sure that you clean up. You wipe them and that you clean them. Use a barrier like a towel or gloves between your skin and other surfaces to avoid contamination. Promptly shower the individual after activity involving direct contact with the skin, like a swimming or sharing of surface such as exercising. Also, clean your hand regularly and keep the individual's hand clean. If they need help to do that, help them to do it so. Keep cuts, scratches clean and cover with bandage or dressing until they're healed. Please, if you can, keep your nails shut and avoid artificial nails. Great, we're coming to an end, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about germs, infection, how we get germ into our body. We talk about how to keep it clean, how to wash our hand in 3 different ways. We talk about environmental cleaning, housekeeping, and how to clean other dirty surfaces. Anyway, so now we can do this activity. You can do it on your own, or you can do it as a group with your co-workers. The first thing I want you to do is to think back about your workplace. Think hard about that one thing that you haven't been doing right, or that one thing that you think that it has not been done that you want to change or that you plan to do. Turn that into a goal. Like you can say, I want to wear my gloves when I do A, B, C. That will be stuck in your mind, and if you develop a strategy to follow that, then whenever you get to that A, B, C, you will remember to wear gloves. If you can do that, and every one of the people that work with you can have such a goal, think about what you can do. That will be great. You will be able to prevent infection at your workplace, and who knows, everywhere you go. I hope this presentation helped you, and remember to review the other presentation, which is focused on antibiotic-resistant infectious diseases. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy this presentation. And remember to wear one pair of gloves for one purpose only, because prevention is better and cheaper than treatment. 1 gram of prevention is better than 100 kilograms of treatment. So I hope you keep that in mind, and that you stay safe and you keep on working on prevention. Good luck.